Hello, Tel Aviv. Thanks for having me. It's a great place. I'm happy to be here. So this talk is going to be about Project TEMPA, demystifying Tesla's Bluetooth passive entry system. And that's a picture of me. I'm Martin Herfurt. I'm a security researcher, independent. There's a group called Trifinite.org that I co-founded together with Colin Mulliner, but there's a slide about that. So I live in Salzburg, where it's minus 14 degrees at the moment. I'm happy to be here, to be in the warm. I'm a regular participant at the CCC, so the German hacker community, and its yearly Congress, which this year won't happen, unfortunately. And I'm author of an app called Tesla Radar. And also, I'm the owner of that black Model 3 you see there. Actually, that was the start of my research when I got it. Right. So Trifinite.org got founded in 2014 by Colin Mulliner and myself, and we pioneered Bluetooth Classic security back then. So we were participating in events that all the vendors would come to in order to test the security of their phones, which was a different story compared to nowadays security in phones. And yeah, I have to get a little bit closer. Yeah, and there's a lot of things going on back then, and I had a break, and now I'm having a new topic, and I'm happy to present. Project TEMPA is about investigating the BLE interface of Teslas, and so you need that in order to talk to the device. So once you get a Model 3 or Model Y or also a new Model S and X, your phone acts as a remote control to your car. So and it does use the BLE protocol in order to talk to your car. But what I'm going to show you is how you would identify a car by its Bluetooth low energy signature, and you're able to track it as well. Also, you can exchange, you can talk to the car as well without any big precondition. And also, I'm going to show you some avenues that would question the security of your vehicle. Some of the things have been fixed already by Tesla. Some of them have been mitigated in a more or less good way. And that's how that goes. And also the research is still ongoing. So I'm also trying to think about new ways to talk to the car. And I'm not having as much time as I wanted to, but maybe I'm getting something more according to the research. So the research originally started in June of 2019. That's when I got my car. And the research intensified 2 years later. And that's when I was getting in the middle between the car and the phone and was able to see what they're talking to each other. So the phone key, as said, is like Tesla's idea to have your phone as a car key. And it's been introduced with the Model 3 in 2018. And of course, you should just be able to approach your car, get into the car without any interaction on the phone. So that was the idea they had. Actually, it's not a new idea. Other manufacturers do that too, but they don't do that with commodity hardware like a phone. So you would usually have a key fob from this car, which is not as convenient as having one device that you can rely on. And it's been a success story for Tesla as well. So it's been so well functioning that they are planning to introduce the key or the phone as a key feature also to newer models as the Cybertruck, the Roadster, whatever's upcoming there. So these are the 3 ways on how to unlock a Tesla. As you can see, it's different interfaces. It's like internet, Bluetooth, and also NFC. And you can unlock and use your car with an NFC card. Actually, you get two of the NFC cards that are already whitelisted in your vehicle. And you just hold it to the beeper once you want to get in, and once you want to start the car. You also can tap the fascia plate on the middle. And It allows you to drive the car, of course, but it does not allow you to have that passive entry feature that is very convenient. So having that card, it is like not how many people use their Teslas, by the way. So phone key is like the second way on how to use your car. It's actually you enroll your car, your phone. You have to tap your NFC card in order to make the vehicle accept your phone as a new key. And what you get from it, you can have these passive entry features, and you can use, as said, your phone as a key to your car. And then there is like the third method, it's the key fob. It's a pretty expensive device for what it is. It's based also on Bluetooth LE and also has an NFC transponder built in, and it allows passive entry features and also allows you to use it as an NFC device. And right, that's how you would unlock the Tesla. When I was starting my research, and I was really curious how people would use their Tesla, how would they unlock it? And many of them are just using the phone key as it's the most convenient way, and some people do have a key fob, but the numbers on this poll, they're not even representative. It's just too few people, right? So how does it work? The car is parked in your vicinity. Your smartphone with the app installed will identify and find that vehicle, would then connect to it, would talk the protocol, and then the car unlocks, and you could use it. The BLE interface has some specific properties that are recognized by your phone. So there is a GAT service, which is like a generic attribute service, which is very common for to be used with the BLE peripheral. So it does have a name, which is not used because the name is also transmitted in a different way. But there's two characteristics that are specific to Teslas. The one is called to vehicle, the other one from vehicle, and it's pretty evident what they do. So it's like a communication channel in two directions. The manufacturer, if you know how an iBeacon works, you know that there's a manufacturer string in there, and this encodes a UUID, which is specific to the kind of device. Then there's a major and a minor ID, and that's in the brackets. That's what that UUID looks like. They use the extended inquiry response, which means that you can also send all the necessary data back within one scanning cycle. So no phone has to connect to the car in order to get its name. So that's why they're using that. So every BLE device, once you're next to a Tesla and you do a BLE scan, you will see that there is some strange named devices. Usually they start out with an S, then you see 8 bytes of hex-encoded data, and then it's a C most likely. And it used to be that there were like different beacon names with a D, R, and P in the end. But Tesla just used or started to use one beacon, and it's a C beacon. Of course, you can guess what these characters stand for. I'm not sure if C is really the center beacon, driver side, passenger, and rear. Doesn't make sense in countries which have right-hand drive. And the major minor ID is for identifying that unique device, mainly for iPhones, because iPhones do have a hardwired method in order to detect iBeacons. Oh, yeah. And these 8 bytes, they seem to be very random at first. So my hope was that they have some structure that encodes like the model, whatever, the type. It doesn't. So I did an entropy analysis, and I found out it's all very random. And, but it's unique to the vehicle. And when I saw it's unique to the vehicle, I just thought about, well, it's always turned on. It's unique to the vehicle. So what about the privacy there? So if you follow the news, you know that Elon Musk is currently suing a guy who's tracking his jet, right? So suddenly, privacy is important to Tesla people. And so you can do stalking, and compared to AirTag and the Apple technology behind that, which is really different and really well done compared to what Tesla does there has been not an outcry which is closely or remotely comparable. So I was talking to Tesla about that because I thought as a customer this is not right that everybody could track me, and they were just replying back with, well, as long as there's traffic cameras everywhere, we thought it's not an important thing to take care of. And it's an accepted risk that comes with the vehicle. So that's when I published that app that I had in order to showcase how a distributed network of sensors would allow to track specific Teslas. And this app is called Tesla Radar. It's available for Android. You can download it. And once you see a Tesla in your vicinity, it will take your location, send it up to the cloud, and will generate a heat map of all the Teslas it saw so far. And first, this was just showcasing the risk of being tracked by anyone. But then it became an important resource for proving some of the theories I had about these IDs. And now it's like a data collection framework for research, and I would be happy if you installed the app and also participated in that. So this is the stats so far. It's like 51 countries participating. So I did some gamification there, and to some of the users, this is just what they wanted. There's people scanning like crazy, and it would be nice if you also thought about that. So talking about that 8 bytes from that Bluetooth name earlier, turns out it has to do with the VIN. Who knows what the VIN is? The VIN is the vehicle identification number, right? And it's unique. It has to be unique. It's a legal thing. And it encodes some things like the manufacturer ID, the model type, manufacturing plant, manufacturing year, all these things that are specific to your vehicle that has that unique VIN. And I found out about how Tesla does it by coincidence. I was playing around with CyberChef and hashing stuff, and I was really happy to see that I recognized part of my SHA-1 hash of my VIN in that they were similar to the 8 bytes of the Bluetooth name of my car. So what turns out to be the case is that Tesla chops off the first 8 bytes of a SHA-1 hash over the VIN of your car and uses this as a reference to your car for all kinds of things. So if you're a Tesla customer, the VIN is everything they think about. So that's the most important ID there for Tesla themselves. So how would you get back from having that VIN identifier to the VIN, right? It's a one-way function. The way you do that is you calculate a rainbow table. That means you take all possible VIN values that are not unknown. You know the structure, you know how Tesla uses them because they have to publish that, and then it comes to eyeballing the production numbers. So once you have that, you have this SHA-1 hash part for every possible Tesla VIN out there, and then you can reverse that process. And I did a public API that is also used by Tesla Radar in order to see what kind of model this person spotted there, and it's really fun. I did that index. These numbers are not accurate, so the index is quite large, and the hit rate is not as good anymore because I need help with seeing all the different kinds of models. So I did a lot of research on car sales web pages that list their VINs from the cars, and there I try to find what combination of engine type and battery type actually is used at the moment in order to pre-calculate these VIN identifiers. So again, it would help if you use Tesla Radar and annotate the cars with the right VIN that you are not able to resolve. So that I discovered that 1 year ago around Christmas, and around Christmas I'm usually visiting my family in Berlin, and that's why I took my new tripod with a directional antenna and mounted it into the backseat of my car. And yeah, on my way to Berlin, I got some strange looks of the people passing my car, seeing that there. And of course, my goal was Gigafactory 4, which is close to Berlin, right? And that's a picture of it. And that's the actual path I drove in order to point my antenna to the factory and see what I can detect there, Bluetooth Low Energy wise. And you'd be surprised how many other stuff there was also. Of course, I discovered some research prototypes because 1 year ago, Tesla did not produce like serial produced cars. So there were a lot of research wins I discovered. So that was interesting, but also interesting was that there's like really heavy equipment that lift cars also have Bluetooth Low Energy interfaces that are really badly protected. So there's some attack avenue for people who are interested into damaging stuff. So I told Tesla about the thing that I discovered in June or in May last year, and that is about getting into the middle of the phone and the car and being able to intercept all the messages being sent back and forth. So I told them, well, attackers could just relay my phone signal and steal my car. Did you think about that? And they just came back with an answer and said, yeah, it's a known limitation. Actually, that still works. You can set up with 2 Raspberry Pis, I'll show you the setup later, and attacker in the middle. You can set up a relay that works over really vast amounts of range. So I did that first. I was really disappointed when I found out about that. Of course, I wanted to know, like Tesla says, yeah, you can do that, but if people use PIN to drive, you couldn't steal the car. PIN to drive is you have to enter a 4-digit PIN, and then your car will be usable. So I was asking people in another Twitter poll what the features are that they're using for security. And this is kind of a trick question because I just didn't want to ask, do you have a PIN or not? I just listed these 4 opportunities or possibilities that there are. And the lower 2 combined is like about 30% of people that use PIN to drive. So that means 2 out of 3 cars are not using it or were not using it back then, before I published that research. But I'm pretty optimistic that that didn't change a lot. So, and here's the man in the middle relay attack setup. You see the phone on the left side, then the first Raspberry Pi talking via VPN to the second Raspberry Pi, which then again is the interface to the car. And it allows you to peek in to see every message being passed back and forth. Turns out that Tesla has like these specific values that you can also see yourself once you scan a Tesla in your vicinity. But it turns out that Tesla is using a protocol called VCSEC, which again is a protobuf implementation. Protobuf is like a binary kind of JSON, so it's really compressing the messages to a very small size, which is a perfect fit for this very low bandwidth technology, which is used for talking to the car. So it defines the interaction. So you have, once you have that protobuf description that you can easily extract, or you could easily extract it in the past from the APK package that the Tesla app has. So there you could just list out all the methods and message types they are, and you could try to understand what the car and the phone are actually talking to each other. So this VCSEC protocol is used for phone key, for key fob. Also, it's used for the tire pressure subsystem, and maybe has different other use cases that I'm not aware of. But I saw some messages popping up that imply that this is also used for backend communication. So it's been introduced with the feature itself that was in 2018, and there's 3 major versions by now. Here's some listing on how that protocol developed over time. So as you can see, now it's like over 70 messages, a lot of enums. Not all of them are used though. And this is how you would deserialize that message. Once you capture a message, you just chop off the first 4 digits, which are 2 bytes hex-encoded that encode the size of the payload, which is then proto-buff compatible. You just take the rest, and as written here, you just use that dictionary file you extracted from the app yourself, or just went to the VCSEC archive on GitHub, and there you go and you see a clear text representation of the message. And this is an example. It's about getting all the whitelisted keys from your car, which has to be authenticated so everybody can do it. And as you see later, this is also can be used for enumerating cars. That's a service key. It's part of every vehicle. It's most likely an NFC card. I can tell by the properties this has. So there's no session counter, for example. So it's most likely an NFC card, which is pretty nice to have at some point. So maybe they come on eBay or something, and then you just buy one of those because you have the key to any car then. And this is like one of the usual NFC cards, and they have a session information which comes in later for another attack. And this is an example for a phone key, and as it's allowing passive entry, you see there's a message counter which implements a rolling code. And this is an example for a key fob, which also has a session counter, also implying passive entry availability. There's 2 main message types encoded in that whole, or like listed in that VC protocol. It's like from VCSEC, it's things that the car wants to communicate to you. And to VCSEC is what your phone communicates in the direction of the car. And it's pretty straightforward. And for this whole messaging, there's no encryption used. Only if you want to have things that are security critical, then you would have to sign your message. And this is done by cryptographic keys. And also, it's just a standard NIST curve that's that they use for elliptic curve cryptography, so you can crank out key pairs yourself. They do not have to be signed by anything legal, by anything Tesla specific. So you just generate your key, and once you know how to get that into your car, you can implement your own car key with that. And as said earlier, you can do key enumeration. You just talk to the car and ask it all about the things it has. You would see which are the active keys. Are these Android devices? Are these iPhones? You can get the service key. Actually, I found 2 different IDs for the service key. I'm not sure that this was like repeating, so they're swapping back and forth. So I don't know why they did that. So first I thought it's a clue to get the version number of the car software, but this is not changing over version numbers. So whitelisting keys. The owner has to have that NFC cards. You can whitelist up to 19 keys. There's specific key permissions that are only available to enterprise users, like the fleet management. And every key is identified by by a part of the SHA-1 hash of the public key again. So SHA-1 is pretty popular there, even though it's recommended not to use it anymore. But the first 4 bytes are used as a reference for the key. So whitelisting a key includes you having the app showing Tesla that you are the legitimate owner of that car, and then you get the VIN back, you do the VIN identifier stuff, your app will find the vehicle, and you can begin the whitelisting process. Funny thing is, none of this is necessary for the car. So you can just go ahead and do that with any car you see, as long as you can whitelist the key there, right? So that's a big mess up that Tesla has there. So the car would never know whether you are the legitimate owner or not, just because there's no backend check. So then you send, hey, I'd like to enroll a new key, and you will tell the car that you will sign that request with an NFC card, and then you get the new key enrolled in the vehicle, and there you go, you can drive the car with your phone. There's something new though. In December 22, so quite recent, Tesla was fixing that, because that came with a problem. The thing is that there was an authorization timer. It's about 130 seconds. Whenever you used your NFC card to unlock the car, just let's approach it, tap the beep alert, get in. These 130 seconds were running, and within this rather large time frame, attackers nearby could sneak in their key and nobody would know, right? Because that was introduced for convenience, because if you use your car with that NFC card, you would have to tap here, tap there, and that kind of is inconvenient. I understand that. And they made it like unrestricted, so whenever this card is tapped, everything is possible within 130 seconds. Now they mitigated that by showing you a dialog on the display that always has to be confirmed for you adding a new key. So I'm also pretty sure there's a race condition to be exploited, but it's less likely happening, right? So I did a video about that. It's not the only video. You can check out that YouTube channel. So that was like a demonstration of that now mitigated attack. And also, pin to drive was not sufficient protection, because when I said earlier that these 4-digit pins have to be entered for the car to be driven, that was not true. Once you had a key, you could just send one of the commands in the VCSEC protocol that just bypassed that pin dialog, which was also demonstrated in that video. You can also have a look at that. They fixed that also, by the way. So, and Tesla has a really broken trust model. So if you know Cartman, it's exactly like that. So Tesla is always right, whereas your phone always has to cryptographically prove itself to the car, so it's really the thing, right? But the car talks to your phone, and your phone wouldn't be allowed to ask whether this is legitimate or not. So there's no crypto in this direction. And that's about the next idea. So how would it be if you just emulate a Tesla vehicle and talk to the phone who talks to you, because you look like the Tesla, right? And you can do so by using one of the tools I also published. And it's really fun. You just have to make sure your device does do the extended inquiry response, which is not standard with the BlueZ stack. So I had to use a different library there. So, but once you're in that position of the alleged car, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can say, hey, I don't know your key, please drop it. You can cause some things to happen there. And it seems that there's different processes that I did not fully get into. So there's a key enrollment process, which is different from the key restoration process that you do when you just lost your key. But what you can do is like you tell the phone that talks to you, thinking it talks to the car, that your crypto counter is off, right? And you can increase it to a highest value unsigned integer would hold. And then your car key, your phone key does no longer work because the car would expect the next higher value, which you cannot iterate to. That means people who were falling for the crypto counter confusion attack would have to delete the app off their phone, to reinstall it, to re-whitelist that key, because your app never forgets the key. Right? So that's some fun there. Also, it's possible to have an authorization replay, because there's a token associated with every key, and this token is supposed to be changed quite frequently, so this doesn't happen. But as it does not change frequently, so I saw it like being the same token over one day, people could go to your phone, pretend to be the car, and ask for authorizations, store those, and just dispense them to the original car. So that's about the attacks. I did some tools here. They're all on GitHub. It's TEMPA, a tool, a VCSEC client most likely, a temporary, how to impersonate a Tesla, not your Tesla maybe, and also a temporary profiler that helps you get the configuration data done to look like the actual cars, so your phone would talk to it. And also there's this VCSEC archive, a collection of all historic VCSEC protocol definitions that help you understand the protocol. And also this API win tag that helps you resolve that gibberish 8 bytes to an actual win. Yeah, the conclusion is relay attacks are possible. Be careful with your NFC card. Use precaution whenever you can. Shout out to Slavomir, who did the Gattacker tool, and all the people. Lax is helping me with the VCSEC archive. He did some similar work, pretty nice guy. Kevin from China, he's doing some research. Based on my research, he kind of did the summon API, so you can drive the car without anybody sitting in there. It's not self-driving that. But shout out also to Kevin, who's a great researcher as well. So, is it already too late? No. If you have an implant like that, you can always chop your hand off. Thank you very much.